My name is Linda Mayfield. I'm 67 years old, and my son sold my house while I was lying in a hospital bed with tubes in my arms and a machine breathing for me. He shook my hand, kissed my forehead, and told me, "Don't worry, Mom, I'll take care of everything." He did. He took care of everything, my savings, my home, my trust. But he forgot one thing. And that one thing is why I'm sitting in my own living room today, while he's sitting somewhere very different. I live in a small town outside Dallas, Texas. One of those places where everybody knows your license plate and what you bought at Walmart last weekend. My house isn't huge. It's a 3-bedroom, single-story brick house with a big oak tree out front and a white porch swing that creaks when you sit in it. I bought it with my husband, Frank, 40 years ago when we were young, broke, and stupid in love. We raised 2 kids there. Ethan, my oldest, my golden boy. Mia, my younger one, my quiet storm. Ethan was the kind of kid people praised at church. Good grades, charming smile, quarterback in high school. People used to say, "You're so lucky, Linda. That boy of yours is going places." They were right. He went places. He went straight past his conscience. Frank died of a heart attack in the kitchen one Sunday morning, 10 years ago. One minute, he was buttering toast. The next, he was on the floor. Just like that. My partner was gone. My income was cut, and the house suddenly felt too big and too quiet. Ethan came home for the funeral in a suit that cost more than my monthly mortgage. "Mom, you shouldn't be living alone," he said, squeezing my shoulder. "This house is a lot. I worry about you." It sounded sweet. It also sounded rehearsed. Mia hugged me and cried with me in the kitchen, her arms tight around my shoulders. "We'll figure it out, Mom. Together, okay?" She meant it. Ethan only acted like he did. Over the years, Ethan called less and less, but when he did call, money always seemed to appear in the conversation. "Mom, how much is the house worth now, you think?" "Mom, do you have a will?" "Mom, you ever think about downsizing? Like, I don't know, moving into assisted living or something?" Assisted living? As if I was already halfway in the grave. I always brushed him off. "Ethan, I'm fine. I have my Social Security, a small pension from the school, and the house is paid off. I'm not a burden." He always said the same thing. "I just want what's best for you, Mom." But there was a look in his eyes whenever he visited, the way he glanced at the granite countertops, the car in the driveway, the new TV Mia bought me. It wasn't love. It was calculation. 3 months before everything exploded, I got sick. It started as a simple cough. I told myself it was allergies. Texas air is wild like that. Then it got worse. Shortness of breath, chest pain. One morning, I woke up gasping like I'd been underwater too long. Mia rushed me to the ER in her old Honda Civic, one hand on the wheel, the other gripping mine. "Stay with me, Mom. Stay with me," she kept saying. The hospital lights were too bright. The ER smelled like bleach and fear. Doctors shouted orders. Nurses stuck needles in my arms. I remember the words pneumonia, complications, and "we need to intubate." Then I remember nothing. When I woke up, it felt like someone had poured sand into my lungs. I had tubes everywhere, and a nurse with tired eyes said, "Oh, sweetheart, welcome back. You gave us a scare." My sense of time was gone. Days slid together like wet pages in a book. Sometimes I heard Mia's voice, soft and steady, reading Bible verses or telling me about the weather. Sometimes I heard Ethan's voice, smooth and confident, talking to the doctors and signing papers. I heard one thing very clearly one night when they thought I was asleep. "Ethan, so about medical power of attorney and her estate. Doctor, you're her son, correct?" "Ethan, oldest. I handle her affairs. She wants me to. My heart spiked on the monitor. I tried to open my eyes, tried to move my fingers. Nothing. I was a prisoner inside my own body. He was lying. A year before all this, after a sermon at church about being prepared, I had sat down with a lawyer named Sandra Lopez. She specialized in elder law. She wore red lipstick and did not blink much. I liked her immediately. We went over everything: my will, my life insurance, my bank accounts, my house. "Do you trust your kids?" she asked, looking at me over her glasses. "I love them," I said. "That's not the same question," Sandra replied. I sat there thinking about Ethan's questions about the house, thinking about Mia bringing me groceries when my back hurt. "I trust my daughter, Mia," I said finally. "Ethan, I love him, but he lives in his own world." Sandra nodded like she'd heard that 1,000 times. We set up a living trust. The house and my savings went into it. I named myself as trustee while I was alive and able. And I named Mia as successor trustee with very specific instructions. There was one key line Sandra had added, at my request, after raising an eyebrow. Quote, "Any sale, transfer, or encumbrance of the property must be approved by the successor trustee, and any attempt to do so without such approval is considered fraud and grounds for litigation." A slow, cold clarity washed over me. He sold my house. He forgot about the trust. He forgot about Mia. He forgot about me waking up. He forgot one thing. I wasn't dead yet. The next morning, I told Mia everything about Sandra, about the living trust, about her being the successor trustee. Mia just stared at me, stunned. You trusted me with that?" "Of course I did," I said. "You're the one who brings soup when I'm sick, not business pitches." She gave a wet laugh. Then her eyes hardened. "So what do we do?" she asked. "Because, Mom, I drove by the house. There's a big red sale pending sign in the yard. Neighbors are talking. People think you're moving to some luxury senior place in Florida. We call Sandra. And then we let your brother walk right into his own trap." Sandra showed up at the hospital 24 hours later in a navy suit and those same red lips. She set her briefcase on the tiny rolling table. "Linda," she said, taking my hand, "you look better than I expected." "That's what near death will do for you," I said dryly. Mia handed her all the papers she'd pulled from Ethan's emails. Screenshots, the MLS listing, the purchase contract, even an enthusiastic text from Ethan saying, "We're gonna be rich, sis. Mom will be fine." Sandra went very still as she read. Then she looked up. "This," she said, "is going to be fun." Mia blinked. "Fun?" Sandra's eyes glittered. "Your brother has tried to sell a house that he does not legally own, using a power of attorney that was superseded by the trust. He misrepresented his authority to the buyer, the real estate agent, and probably the title company." "In English?" I asked. "In English," Sandra said, "this is fraud. And we are going to let him get just far enough that everyone sees exactly who he is." For the next week, I played the weak, recovering mother. When Ethan visited, I kept my voice soft and shaky. "How are things at home?" I'd ask. "Oh, don't worry about that, Mom. I'm taking care of it. Your house is going to set you up. You'll be in a nice facility with nurses and a garden. You'll love it." Facility, like I was a broken appliance. I watched him carefully. "You sold the house?" "Almost," he said. "We're in escrow. Fancy word for done deal." He chuckled. "These California buyers are crazy. They're paying cash, over asking." "Good for you," I whispered. "You were always the smart one." His chest puffed up. "Exactly. You can trust me." Every lie he told dug him deeper. He had no idea that Sandra had already contacted the buyer's attorney, the title company, and the listing agent. She didn't yell. She didn't threaten. She just sent over a copy of the trust, highlighted the key sections, and asked one polite question. Could you please explain under what authority Mr. Ethan Mayfield is selling property titled to the Mayfield Living Trust when he's neither the trustee nor the successor trustee? The panic started there. The closing day came fast. Mia wheeled me into the small glass-walled conference room at the title office. I was still weak, but I insisted on being there. I wanted to see his face. Ethan was already inside, wearing a sharp suit, his hair perfect, his smile even more so. A young couple sat across from him, the buyers. They looked excited and nervous, clutching a baby carrier. "Oh, Mom!" Ethan jumped to his feet, shocked. "What are you doing here? You shouldn't be out of the hospital." Mia pushed my wheelchair to the end of the table. She felt like fresh air, she said flatly. The title agent, a middle-aged man with a tired tie, looked confused. Mr. Mayfield, I thought your mother was incapacitated." "She was," Ethan said quickly. "But she's okay with everything. Right, Mom? We talked about this." He looked at me with that old charm, the one that used to melt me when he was a teenager in trouble. I looked at him for a long, quiet moment. Then the door opened. Sandra walked in, dropped her briefcase on the table, and laid out a stack of papers like a poker player showing her cards. "Good morning," she said. "I'm Sandra Lopez, attorney for Mrs. Linda Mayfield and the Mayfield Living Trust." Ethan's smile cracked. "Trust?" the buyer's wife asked, confused. "I thought this was his house, his mom's house that he's selling for her." Sandra smiled politely. "Oh, it is her house. That's the problem." The title agent cleared his throat. "Mr. Mayfield, do you want to explain this?" His voice sounded thinner now. Ethan's eyes bounced between Sandra, the agent, and me. "Look, this is a misunderstanding," he said. "I have power of attorney. I can side for her. Mom, tell them." He slid the old, dog-eared power of attorney across the table like it was a winning lottery ticket. Sandra didn't even touch it. "That document," she said, "was signed 5 years ago. It gave Mr. Mayfield some authority, yes. But a year ago, Mrs. Mayfield created a living trust and transferred the house into it. At that moment, this," she tapped the paper, "became essentially useless for real estate. The only person who can sell this house is the trustee or the successor trustee." "And that's me," Mia said quietly. Her hands were folded, but I could see the tension in her jaw. Ethan's face went from confident to confused to angry in seconds. "What? Mom, what is she talking about? You put Mia in charge? You made a trust and didn't tell me?" I met his eyes. "You were always busy, remember? Too busy for old paperwork." He stared at me like he was seeing me for the first time. The buyer, the young father, raised his hand awkwardly. "So, does that mean we're not buying the house today?" "No," Sandra said calmly. "You're not. If you're still interested, we can discuss a legitimate sale later. But my client will not be forced out of her home by her own son's fraud." The word hung in the air. Fraud. Ethan exploded. "This is ridiculous," he shouted, slamming his hand on the table. "I did this for you, Mom. You can't live alone anymore. You're sick. You almost died. I got you buyers. I got you money. You got yourself money," I said, my voice steady. "Don't you dare pretend this was about me." His mouth snapped shut. "I saw the contract," Mia added. "I saw the wire instructions. The funds were going to your business account, not Mom's. You were going to handle it, right?" The buyers looked horrified. You were going to steal your own mom's house money? The young wife whispered. The title agent cleared his throat again. Mr. Mayfield, I'm going to have to stop this process. We'll be contacting our legal department. This is very serious. His face drained of color. You can't do this, he said, looking at me, then Mia, then Sandra. You're my son. Family doesn't do this to each other. I felt something inside me crack and then harden. Family doesn't steal from each other while they're on a ventilator. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then Sandra calmly slid another document across the table to Ethan. What is that? He snapped. A notice, Sandra said. We'll be filing a complaint with the district attorney for attempted fraud, elder financial abuse, and forgery if any signatures were misused. We're also revoking any and all previous powers of attorney, effective immediately. His hands shook as he held the paper. You'd send your own son to jail? He whispered. I looked at him, my voice soft but deadly. You were willing to make your own mother homeless. The legal wheels moved slower after that, but they moved. The buyers backed out, understandably. The title company filed a report. The DA's office opened an investigation. Ethan's emails, texts, and bank records told a story he couldn't charm his way out of. He had sent messages to a friend bragging about finally cashing out on the old lady's house. He had drafted plans for his business expansion with my address listed as the source of the funding. He had even joked, she won't know the difference, she's half gone already. Every word was a nail in his own coffin. He called me, raged at me, begged me, cried to me. Mom, please, I have kids. I have a wife. They'll ruin me. Just tell them you gave me permission. Tell them you were confused about the trust. Tell them... I won't lie for you, I said. You owe me, he shouted. Something in me finally snapped. I owe you? I said. I gave you life. I gave you a home. I gave you second chances. I gave you everything. And when I was dying, you tried to take the roof over my head and sell it like a used car. He went quiet. This is the last time we talk, Ethan. You need a lawyer. Then I hung up. Months passed. The investigation concluded. The DA decided not to push for a long prison sentence. He was a first-time offender, technically, but they did push for consequences. Ethan was charged with attempted fraud and elder financial abuse. He took a plea deal, probation, a criminal record, mandatory restitution for all legal fees I had paid. He lost his position in his fancy company when the board found out. Funny how elder fraud on a background check makes people nervous. His wife left him, took the kids. She sent me a letter apologizing for not seeing it sooner. She wrote, I thought he just wanted to help. I'm so sorry for what he tried to do to you. I cried when I read that. Not because of the apology, but because my grandchildren were now stuck with the fallout of their father's choices. I left them money in my will. Not him. Never him. And me? I went home. Home to my brick house with the big oak tree. Home to my creaky white porch swing. Home to my memories of Frank flipping pancakes and kids running down the hallway. The neighborhood gossip died down eventually, although people still give Ethan's name a certain look when it comes up in conversation. Mia moved in with me for a while, just in case, though I know she also just likes being there. We cook dinner together. We watch TV. We sit on that porch swing in the evenings, listening to the cicadas. One night, as the sun painted the sky orange and pink, she turned to me. Do you ever regret it, going after him, not just letting it slide to keep the peace? I looked at the house, at the windows Frank and I had painted ourselves, at the flower bed where Mia had planted lilies last spring. No, I said, peace built on silence isn't peace. It's a hostage situation. She nodded, her eyes bright. And besides, I added with a small smile, you know me.